Is everybody in? Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The ceremony is about to begin.
This is very real.
Fantastic.
This drug is dangerous.
Wrong.
You cannot play with it. It's not funny. It's not something to laugh about. Good people don't smoke marijuana.
Shut your little punk ass up.
But the more you hate me, the more you will learn.
Welcome back to the Autoflower Podcast. I'm your host, Chad Delaney, and thank you so much for joining me here once again. This is going to be episode 36, and before we get started, I want to take a moment and thank a couple of new Patreon supporters, both who signed up for the $10 a month flowering club. So thank you to BSMT Science and to Richard. I appreciate you guys' support. Welcome aboard, and I hope that you guys enjoy the benefits. This week we are going to be chatting with Arucamba Autoflowers from Instagram. He is a fellow grower located in Europe, actually, and I had no idea until I reached out to him. But so he's got a really cool accent, but he's a great grower and a really nice guy, and I think you guys are going to enjoy our kind of casual conversation about autoflowers and growing in general. So before I get started, I just want to remind you to follow the podcast on Instagram at Autoflower Podcast. You can follow on Twitter at AutoflowerPod, and there is a Facebook page for you to like if you prefer that as well. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the conversation. Please help me in welcoming to the Autoflower Podcast, Arucamba Autoflowers, everybody. Amazing looking plants going on there. It looks like you're growing like, are you in a room or a closet? What are you growing in?
I was growing in a 5x5 like for the last few months. I did two runs in there, and I just recently built the room like 3-4 days ago.
So it's new.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. I'm looking at your Instagram right now. I didn't catch in your feed that you had went from a tent to a room, but I see it now. That's
and
cool, man.
I really needed that space.
Yeah. So what size was your tent?
A 5x5.
5x5. And how large is your room?
My room is 5x11.
Oh, so you've more than doubled your space.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of getting another Lumatek Zeus to put in there, and I guess we're gonna fill up that room.
Yeah, let's chat about your light. I see the picture. It's like this nice looking big bar LED light by Lumatek. Tell me about that.
I got the regular version. They do have a pro version. It's been out since beginning this year, I think. And yeah, I wanted to get a slim 488. Yeah, 480. But I wasn't able to get that because the European side from Optic LEDs didn't really have it. So I decided to go with Lumatek, and I'm loving it. It's doing great.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like a pretty slick looking light. Is it big? It looks pretty big.
It's a bit over a 3x3.
Oh, okay. So a pretty good size then.
Yeah, I had problems covering my tent, and that's actually why I wanted to get a big light.
Mm-hmm.
And my 5x5, it did great. Right now, my plants are getting a bit too big for the light, so they're spread out a bit outside. So some parts of the plants aren't really getting light.
Oh, is that why you're considering adding another one, obviously?
Yeah. Yeah, I can fit it in the room, so why not?
Yeah. So do you grow for Fast Buds?
Yeah, I've been sponsored. They're sponsoring me for 2 years now.
Oh, nice.
And never going anything else but autos.
And then you're also, I see, through Seed Stalkers as well.
Yeah, they recently got sponsored by them. This is my first grow. And so far, I'm loving what I see.
Oh, nice, man. So what do you got going on in there right now under that light? I see you got like, it looks like you have a damn forest in there.
Yeah, I got 5 plants. One by Seed Stalkers. That's a Gelato 41. It's a new release. And from the rest is from Fastbots. I have the lemon pie going. I just posted a picture of it. And I got the red cheesecake, also by Fastbots. I got cookies, and what? I got one more. Crap, I forgot what other things I have. Yeah, but they're all Autoflowers, and the new releases from Fastbots, the lemon pie and the gorilla cookies. They're some of the best artists I've seen to date. At least they smell really good for early flower.
Yeah, that I'm looking at that picture of your wedding cheesecake
Yeah.
that you posted. Dude, that thing is huge. It's like a big hedge bush. And you didn't top that or anything? It just grew like that?
No training at all. I've defoliated her once, and that's about it.
Wow. Yeah, man, that thing is looking huge. What size pot is that you got that in?
She is in a 5-gallon pot.
Yeah, so that thing's huge, man. That plant's got to be like 3 feet wide by 3 feet high.
She's definitely over 3 feet wide. I think she's almost 3 feet high, but definitely over 3 feet wide.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, dude. Day 56 from Sprout, huh? That's like super fast, man.
Yeah, she's still got a while to go.
Yeah. Have you had pretty good luck with Fast Buds? Like have you grown a lot of their stuff in 3 years?
I still have a list to go, but from all I've grown now, I really loved everything. I wasn't really a fan of the Skittles because I had kind of a licorice terpene profile, and I'm not really a fan of that.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, I loved every change of the gelato. Cool. Is definitely recommended.
Yeah, I just put in a seed of another Blue Dreamatic seed. I haven't had the best of luck with Fast Buds with the seeds that I've gotten. I had a hard time germinating a few, and then I did get the last Blue Dreamatic to germinate, and it grew great and huge, and it was like a total success. But I messed up with nitrogen toxicity and totally ruined the plant. So I'm trying to give myself a second opportunity here to redeem myself. So I've got one blue feminized Blue Dreamatic seed that Rasta K gave me. So I'm waiting for it to pop soil and give it another run here and try to redeem myself. But have you grown that Blue Dreamatic?
No, never tried it.
No, even though I messed it up, it smells great. So I'm hoping this one pops and gives me a good grow in this new setup I've got. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I've just had a little bit of trouble just with the seeds, but maybe it was just a batch of seeds I got. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they've just never had any trouble. It's weird.
Yeah, with germinating seeds, last one that did not germinate was a strawberry pie, like one of the new releases. But before that, I had one seed not germinate. And don't use the napkin method. I just go straight to soil, and that's what's been working best for me.
Is that what you do? Yeah. So take us through one of your grows. So, what are you growing in? You're growing in cocoa, yeah?
Yeah, I'm growing in a 70 to 30% mix from cocoa and perlite. And I just started them off straight in the cocoa. And I just water for the first few days, pH to 5.8. And for the first week, after 5 days, I start giving Vitalink Plant Start, just seedling nutrients. And from then, I start building up my base from advanced nutrients slowly.
Oh, okay. What do you mean by seedling nutrients? Like, do you have special nutrients you use during the seedling stage?
Yeah, it's this bottle from Vitalink. Not sure if you ever heard of them.
I haven't. No.
It's pretty much basic nutrients, but with a really low ratio, so it's hard to overfeed them.
Oh, that's kind of nice, especially if you're in cocoa.
Yeah, you can feed from the start. That's pretty much why I got it.
Oh, how long do you feed with that stuff?
For the first week, usually I start feeding at day 3. I let them pop dirt first and pop their first leaves,
Yeah.
And that's I start around day 3, and I give them that for a week.
Oh, okay. And then you introduce the advanced nutrients?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I try to do the same ppms, but the stuff is strong, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
during your seedling stage, I'm curious, like how often do you grow? How often do you grow? How often are you watering it? Like, so during those first 3 days, you said you just give it water,
Yeah, I just gave a pH water just
but
around the seed.
how often though?
I give it every day, but just around the seedling because
Uh-huh.
cocoa dries up fast, so I don't want to risk it and dry out the cocoa. So I do water daily, but just a little bit, just to keep it a little moist.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then when you start using that seedling, the nutrients, how often are you introducing those?
Every day, I feed every day from the start.
Okay, but just once a day?
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you ever go up to multiple times a day?
It depends if they need it. Like right now, I have the lemon pie. She's asking for 2 waterings a day, but usually a gallon a day per plant will do.
Oh, okay. So you kind of just read it too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
usually water till 20% runoff to avoid salt buildup.
okay. Yeah, see, that's how Ross Decay grows too. And I like this idea of like growing and for especially like for somebody like me who is a total beginner to cocoa. Um, in fact, like the only, well, I don't want to say all that again, but I've grown in cocoa, but it wasn't really total cocoa. So it wasn't just straight up like cocoa and perlite. There was other stuff mixed in with it. So I think I had some trouble. But it just sounds like for a beginner like me, if I want to grow in cocoa, it's like the idea of just doing something once a day. You know what I mean? Like once a day, every day, whether, you know, you don't have to, like with soil, you don't have to worry about it, you know, over watering or, you know, or vice versa, like waiting too long to water again. It's like with cocoa, you can just kind of play it safe, just water it once a day. And if you start to see deficiencies, then you can bump up your game. It almost seems like that's a good way for, it almost seems like that's a good option for a beginner. Would you agree?
I do agree. It does take time. Like cocoa takes more time than soil, and it's also easier to correct deficiencies. Well, let me tell you something funny. This is my 3rd grow using cocoa. I also recently started using cocoa.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's what you say. It's if you can play it safe by watering every day, and if you make sure you have enough runoff when your plants can handle it, then you'll be safe. But I usually wait till feeding till runoff till week 3 or 4. I let the roots establish first, and that's when I start feeding till runoff.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that runoff's pretty important though when you do start feeding for that salt buildup, huh?
Yeah, salt buildups, they happen so quick in cocoa. Like I used to water every day, but I didn't have enough runoff, and I got into problems. I checked my pH. My pH was okay, and when I went to check my ppms, they were off the charts.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, if you have a big plant, it dries up quickly. So yeah. And you can also, usually just fill the pot, and if they need a second watering a day, I'll try to give them that.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I like the idea of cocoa, and I might try it again with this new auto pot system I got. I'm doing a water only, like living soil right now, but I'm thinking about trying another cocoa run maybe with this, you know, because it's like you just fill up this reservoir and it just self feeds itself. It's so simple, so it's like kind of hard to mess it up. So I might try to introduce myself to a cocoa grow from that angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I did read about people having pH issues, and pH issues aren't really a problem with advanced nutrients, but pH issues are common with outer pots because the water stands still. At least that's what I
Yeah.
keep reading.
Yeah, I was considering doing like what Full Duplex did, and he put an air stone in his reservoir.
Oh.
You know, so he'll put his water in the reservoir, put an air stone in there, and I think that pretty much like keeps the pH under control. Because I was wondering about that. Like if I pH my water and fill the reservoir up, it's like 12 gallons. I mean, it sits there for a week. I wonder if that's going to be good to go for that whole week, or if I'm going to have to obviously do some testing, but I'll have to stick a pH meter in there every day and see if it's, changing. But I'm curious to how that works. I think that's why full duplex might add that air stone, and it just aerates the water and, keeps it not stagnant and keeps it moving and oxygen and everything else.
Yeah, because it's you fill out the pots daily or weekly?
Well, I don't know yet. I haven't even turned the system on. But I mean, I guess it depends on how many pots you have hooked up. I have 4-gallon pots hooked up to a 12-gallon reservoir. So when I turn it on, I'm assuming it's going to last me probably a week. But I don't know for sure.
Oh yeah, it also collects runoff, right? Or how does
No,
it
because so what happens is it actually bottom feeds. So it's like there's this reservoir, and it brings water into the bottom of these trays, and then your pots sit in the trays, and they feed from the bottom up, kind of like you would feed, like a lot of people feed succulents and cactuses and stuff, how they dip them in a bucket of water and let them feed from the bottom up. It's kind of like that.
Huh. I might try that in the future. But how does that work? So your water from before, so the substrate is moist before you put them in?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I know. Are you getting at like runoff and salt buildup and stuff? Or are you?
I mean, like if you start off a plant, I'm not assuming the water's gonna suck up till the top for the seed.
Yeah, so right now I have it off. So my seeds are just sprouting right now. So I came out here this morning, and some of them had just sprouted overnight. So I have it turned off, and I soaked the soil all the way, saturated it to runoff to get the whole pot saturated, and then put my seeds in there. And then so now they've sprouted, and obviously that soil is still wet from a couple of days ago. So you have to wait until those roots get established before you can turn the system on, because if not, it'll just sit and the plants won't drink the water because it's just a seedling. So you do have to wait, maybe 2 weeks or something before you actually turn the system on. So how many times I'll have to self-water, I don't know. Maybe once, maybe zero. I'm not sure. Maybe twice. I'm just waiting to see. But once the roots, get somewhat established in there, then you can turn the system on to where it will just bottom feed from the bottom up, and it'll only take what it wants and what it needs. It's interesting. You should watch a video I did on it. I posted it on my YouTube and my IGTV on Instagram under my Tourette Grower account. You can check out the videos I did of setting the whole thing up. There's a 2-part video I did setting the whole thing up and like showing how it works in detail and stuff. And check it out, man, when you get a chance. But
you will.
Yeah, but yeah, man, enough about me. I forgot what we were even talking about before I started talking about myself. So you're in cocoa. We're talking about your grow. So see how narcissistic I am. So you're in cocoa, and so you're watering. We were talking about how you water with the seedling nutrients for a week, and then you go into advanced nutrients. And then so when you go into that, and then you're watering once a day, do you start out at like say 25% ratio of what's suggested, or how do you kind of introduce that, or you start blasting them?
No, you should never start blasting the advanced nutrients because they do get burned really easily. I do give live feeds. I think I give an 8, not even an 8 of the recommended dose at the beginning. So I give them like a quarter of a milliliter. And that's how I just introduce it first. And when I'm done introducing the nutrients, I bump it up to 8 of the recommended dosage. And usually by week 3, I'm at 4th of the recommended dosage. I never go above half recommended dosage.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Even with like when you're heavy in flour, you just keep it at half?
Um, yeah, right now I'm at 900 ppms, and that's I think 1.5 milliliters per liter, and the recommended dosage is 4 milliliters.
So you measure it by ppms? Is that what you're kind of going off of?
Yeah, I don't read my ppms every day.
Yeah.
I do check my runoff with my ppm meter, but I usually just see what I put in 1 liter of water, read the ppms, and that's how I kind of memorize what I'm giving them.
So what does it look like when it comes out when you read it? Do you want it to be roughly the same ppm?
It's never going to be the same. Usually it's a bit higher, but I don't think it's a problem because I do give light feeds. So
yeah,
I never had it I only had it once that I really it scared the shit out of me, and that was when what I told you about the salt buildup.
Oh yeah, that's why you're that's why you're adamant about water in a runoff. Yeah, man. Well, shit, man. It looks like you're doing good. I'm looking at this other picture of the. That's a lemon pie. Man, that thing's huge, dude. What's your average? What's your average yield?
Well, before I used to grow in cocoa, my average yield was around 50 to 60 grams in organic soil.
Mm-hmm.
And my first cocoa grow, I had the Fast Buds Tester 29. I'm not sure if you've seen that picture. She yielded over 495 grams.
Really?
Yeah, and I recently harvested Forgotten Cookies, and she got me 552 grams.
I think I remember. Did you post a picture of that one?
Yeah, Mephisto did too, so you might have seen that one.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's so insane, man. I have never. How many ounces is that?
I believe 11 ounces. I'm not sure. No, more.
Dang.
I'm bad at converting to ounces.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I think I think
myself, man.
That's all good. I think the most I've ever gotten is I think my biggest yield is just under 4 ounces. But I mean, that's in I've Never grown anything really bigger than a 5-gallon pot. I did once, but it didn't go well. I messed it up, but 3-gallon, 5-gallon pot with soil, whether it's organic or whether it's, I'm feeding nutrients. The biggest plant I've ever gotten was just under 4 ounces, which is fine with me. I mean, that's totally fine with me. I'm happy with that. But I would like to grow like a beast just to experience it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the Fast Buds Tester was my first cocoa grow. So yeah, I just tried to stick to what I did first. I had some recommendations from, not sure if you know him, Growing Organics.
I don't know. It sounds familiar.
He used to be Auto as well. He pretty much introduced me to cocoa a few months ago. And yeah, that was my first cocoa grow, and yeah, I'm never turning back. Really enjoying it so far.
Really? Yeah, man. I'm definitely gonna do another try it again in the future.
Definitely.
Yeah, because it does seem like you can get larger yields, just because of the kind of hydroponic aspect of it. That they're in.
Yeah.
That they're in that cocoa.
Yeah, I treat them like they're in hydro. So my soil, I try to keep my soil moist as in wet. But when they're that big, it doesn't really work out. So you have to start twice a day or 3 times a day. Like the Forgotten Cookies that yielded 500 grams. She was getting watered 2 times to 3 times a day, and she would be dry.
Oh. Oh, I didn't even put that together. So that's how you're determining whether you water more than once a day, is if they drink it all in less than a day.
Yeah, when I pick them up and they're light, that's when I start feeding twice a day.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people, I mean, most that I've seen anyways, when they are in cocoa, damn, I just forgot what I was going to say. Total stoner brain moment. Oh, I was going to say, a lot of people who grow in cocoa, they just feed, some guys are, feeding 6-8 times a day in smaller amounts. to kind of really try to pump that thing up and push it and make it grow fast and really load it up. It's cool. It's cool to watch, but it's just too much for me.
Yeah, that's too much.
My life.
Yeah, I have good results like that. I never tried feeding 6 to 8 times a day. But I think if you do that, you still have the runoff because you're keeping it wet. I think you probably have the same results.
Yeah.
I can't give my results right now. So I might try it in the future, but for now, this is easier. Like just watering once a day or twice a day.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's why I was gonna. I'm thinking this autopot system. I'm just thinking, if I do cocoa in it, it's like because the plant just takes what it wants. It just takes what it wants and what it needs, and it doesn't take any more. You know what I mean? Or any less, in theory. So it almost would be a good option for cocoa. The only thing I'm confused about, which I guess I'm trying to get the Autopot guys actually on the podcast, so I'm going to chat with them hopefully. But what I'm confused about, and a question I have for them is, if you're growing in cocoa and you have your solution mixed up in your reservoir and your plants are just uptaking and uptaking, is there a risk of salt buildup? Like, do you still have to flush, or like how does that work? And I just don't know the science behind all that. So that would be my only concern before someone hears this, goes and pulls the trigger on it.
Personally, I'm not. Obviously, I've never tried it, but I suppose that the cocoa stays wet at all times if you're growing out of pots. So by theory, you shouldn't be getting any salt buildups
because of the fact that it never dries out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not. It's still actually now that's stuck. Yeah. Now you got me thinking. I'm not sure anymore.
I know, we're just chatting about it on an episode.
Where does it go?
Oh man, that's all good. So when you use your advanced nutrients, I've never used that, but I've seen it a lot. So are you using like a veg nutrient, and then are you switching over to flower nutrients?
No, I'm using Sensei Bloom cocoa from beginning to end.
I've heard of that, and I can even picture that bottle in my head. I've seen it so many times. I didn't realize that was just, you use that for, is it just a bloom nutrient, but you just use it in veg anyways, or is it?
It has enough nitrogen in it, in my opinion. And that's what I tried. I've read it once, so I decided to just wing it and try it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is my third grow with advanced nutrients, and I'm not planning on switching anything because I like my results right now, and I don't want to fuck anything up.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. That's interesting. Maybe I'll reach out to you, and if I forget this information that you're giving me by then, and when I do my cocoa grow, maybe that's the nutrients I'll use, and I'll kind of go down that line. So are you thinking because they're autos and they don't veg very long, really, that you can just kind of introduce after that 1 week, you just start introducing those nutrients, and it's just enough for its veg and bloom state, obviously, because you're using it.
Oh yeah, it seems to be enough. If I overfeed, I do get nitrogen toxicities. So that means there's enough nitrogen in there. So yeah, I'm not planning on ever using grow, because I believe I'm not sure. I think it's like double the amount of nitrogen in the grow one.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't think others don't really need that much nutrients, so I just try to keep it simple.
Yeah, you see, that's the mistake I made with that Blue Dreamatic I was growing, man. As I was trying to push it, and I was in like this mostly cocoa mix, and I was feeding like 2 or 3 times a day, and I just it seemed like just within a matter of I like all of a sudden I looked over and the plant was just like dark green, and I was like, damn, what am I doing? It's like I didn't really notice it, and it happened so fast, and I didn't know what to do, so I flushed, and then it didn't really do anything, so I flushed again, and I don't know what the heck I did with that thing, man. I started feeding it like a quarter of what I was feeding it. It just never really recovered, It had really, really fox-tailed, airy buds on it. I didn't even post a picture. It was so hideous.
Yeah,
But that's where I messed
daily
up.
feeds, you do feed lower.
Yeah, I think that's what I was pushing it, and I didn't realize, like, when you do multiple feeds a day, you got to kind of back off on how much that really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because since I've switched to cocoa, the thing is with cocoa, they take up nutrients right away. With organic soil, it really takes time. So, by when you notice they have a deficiency, you'll have to act upon it, and you'll have to wait a week or two for the results. But with cocoa, if you see a deficiency, you can just flush the system out and feed them again, and you'll be good.
That's another benefit of cocoa right there. Yeah, I'm always torn, man. I'm always like, every time I talk to somebody who's growing in like a super soil, I get all interested and I want to grow in super soil. And then I start talking to people like you who are growing in cocoa, and I'm like, oh, I want to grow in cocoa. And it's like, I just keep going back and forth in my mind. Maybe I should just do like a couple of pots in cocoa, a couple of pots in soil, let them go and see which ones I like better at the end, and then go that route, or just switch back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, soil is much easier. Much easier on you, so you don't have as much work. But if you're on top of your game with cocoa and always check your runoff, then I don't see any issues. I just try to keep to the basic ppms. I'm even lower than usual. I'm like right now I'm at 800, and that's base, including the additives I give them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's low feed for a planted flower, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I see that you had a Mars Hydro at one time too, that TS 2000.
Yeah.
Did you like that light?
Well, it gave me good results. I don't really like to talk down on people, but when I switched off the light, I never noticed because it was in the closed stand. But a few days ago, I went in my room and everything was turned off, but the chips were still like giving a little bit of light. And I had a plant, my last grow, and the plant that Hermit was under the TSW 2000.
Oh, that's weird. Like, was it a photo period?
No, well, it was a autoflower, but that's why I'm not sure if it has to do with the light. It seems like the plant that was under it is also having issues.
Don't tell me that, dude. I just bought one of those things. I bought the TSL 2000. It's the one that's like long and
rather long.
Yeah, I was gonna buy the SP 3000, but man, it's just, I just don't have. I'm already spending money I don't have to try and like chase this dream and build my podcast and stuff, and so I just, I was like $400 or $250, and I was like, so I just went with the less expensive one. It's still going to be the best light I've ever had, probably, but
yeah, that's the thing. For the bang of your buck, Mars Hydro is a really good company.
Yeah, it'll be good for me. It's still like an entry level light, really, but I mean, it's like I consider myself an entry level grower, so shit just goes together.
So am I, man. I'm no pro, but I'm by no means a pro.
You got some really beautiful, beautiful bushy plants, man. Your grows look great, dude. I'm not saying you're a professional, but I mean, you look like one to me compared to, when I compare you to myself. It looks great.
All I can say is switch to cocoa, man. Because if you scroll to my page when I used to be growing organic, my plants weren't looking that good. And I think what did it for me was switching to cocoa and being on top of my game. I used to neglect my grows a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's something a lot of people do. And you do it when you're successful, you start realizing that. So yeah, be on top of your grow at all times, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, that's true. Because I tend to I have seasons where I'll kind of, I'll be into it, and then I'll get more into like the digital end of what I'm doing in cannabis with the podcast and stuff. And it's like, I'll start to abandon my grows, and then I'll fluctuate back, and I'll start to like kind of be more into my grow and be like, remind myself, this is what it's about. This is, where it's at. And then, I know what you mean, man. I've definitely abandoned some of my grows, not purposely. Even that Blue Dreamatic I was telling you about, that's a good example. I was just like, oh, I'm a total noob with cocoa, and I got this pot in here and this plant, and I'm just feeding away, shoving nutrients down this thing's throat, and was just doing it robotically and not really paying attention to the plant. You know what I mean? And then that's why I think I was so busy, on my laptop and my phone and stuff, that it's like I look over to actually visually take in the plant for a minute and enjoy its beauty and connect with it on a different level, like I like to do sometimes. And I just noticed, I was just like, oh my gosh, look at that thing. You just sometimes you don't even really realize that you're abandoning your stuff. You just got to keep up on top of it.
Yeah, and sometimes it gets hard, man. With cocoa, if you have like a big garden, I have 5 plants, so it doesn't take more than an hour to feed my girls. Mm-hmm. But if you have plants, I can imagine if you're growing a cocoa, you're going to be spending a lot of time in the garden. And you got to be dedicated to the garden to be able to do that.
Yeah, so you're in there obviously daily. I think most of us are, but you're not only in there daily, but you're like making sure that you're aware and paying attention to everything daily. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I check my runoff every day. And yeah, just check the plants if they have any deficiencies or toxicities.
Yeah. See, that's where I get lazy, man. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much this episode.
No, man,
I just relate with what you're saying. That's where I get lazy, like with that Blue Dreamatic. I was checking my pH and my ppms in and out every time I fed. So when I was feeding 2 to 3 times a day at the beginning, I would check the ppms, I would check everything. And then I was like, a week, 2 weeks into doing this every day, a couple of times a day, I started getting lazy. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this 3 times a day. So I went down to like twice a day, and then even down to once a day. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it once a day, because it was still wet the next day. So I started doing it once a day, and then it's like, oh, well, my water is probably the same as it was yesterday. And, I'm mixing the same amount of nutrients, so everything's probably the same. So I stopped checking ppm. I stopped checking the pH. And
how long have you been doing this, by the way?
Growing or the podcast?
The podcast.
I started it in January of 2019. And I did it for about 6 months. And then I kind of just dropped off the map and stopped. And then I started it back up like 6 months later. And then I'm trying to, for the most part since then, I've been pretty consistent with it for this year. Basically 2020 is the year that I've really been pushing it and been consistent with it. You know what I mean?
All right. It's being successful. You're gaining followers quick. Are you like at 2,000 now?
Yeah, on Instagram, like 3,000 or something like that. And then, the listeners, I think that like the actual subscribed like downloads is around like 1,500 to 2,000 a week of actual downloads. So it's going much better than I thought it would, man. And it's right up my alley too, because that's what I desire to do. I just desire to be in some type of community where I can learn and help. Yeah, I think that's like kind of that's kind of my soul, my life purpose and mission is to just help others by way of showing them and helping them learn, but not necessarily being the one with all the knowledge, just kind of pointing them in that direction. And so that's kind of like what I used to do when I would travel to different places and teach people how to screen print shirts and stuff. It's like I just go and just show them something and then give it to them and leave and say, here you go. Hope this betters your life. And then walk away and go do it again instead of staying there and controlling it. And you know what I mean? So I'm trying to do that with the podcast too, where I just kind of be like, here you go, just put something out on a plate. And if people want to pull up a chair and munch down, they can. If not, that's cool too. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with it. But at the same time, it's so damn time consuming, but I love it. So I'm trying to balance that out to where I'm kind of compensated for my time. And that's why I started the Patreon and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, I have a YouTube account, so when it starts growing, I might.
Yeah, I just started doing YouTube, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
to try and make good videos.
Yeah, you gotta know how to edit. I don't know how to edit. I just like do a grow journal.
Yeah, that's cool too, though.
And the hate on YouTube, man. So many trolls.
Yeah, I've noticed that already. I've had the comments of laughing at me and saying, "Don't listen to this guy" and stuff like that. But I don't care. They can just suck a fart out of my ass and keep trolling away. I don't even reply to them. I laugh at it because it's kind of funny. And actually, I replied to that guy and I said, you don't have to listen to me, dude.
And
nothing else to say. What's your YouTube channel?
The same as my IG.
Arucamba? Autoflowers?
Yeah, Arucamba Autoflowers. You're the first one to actually say it correctly.
Am I? Oh,
yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Just joking. What do people usually say?
Well, they really struggle to pronounce it. Arucamba.
Oh, okay.
And it stands for because I'm Dutch, but I grew up in Aruba.
Uh-huh.
So I consider myself more of Arubian, like the local Arubian language I speak better than Dutch. And they call Dutch people Macamba there. So I put them two together and I had Arucamba.
Oh, that's so cool. I love the personal meaning and stuff behind it. I love stuff like that.
And people don't get it, but yeah.
I was wondering what it meant. I was wondering, what does that mean?
Yeah, now you know. Like people from the island that don't follow me, they know right away I'm from Aruba because they see the name.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody knows.
Yeah. So what about as far as your temperatures and stuff go? Is there a certain temperature you try to keep inside your tent?
Yeah, I keep my temperatures around 25 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
During this hot summer, I have a portable AC in there, and I have it connected to a switch so that it makes sure it turns on and off between the temperature of 25 and 26.
Oh, okay, cool. So for those listening, that's 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And then what about your humidity? What do you try to keep that at? Or do you adjust that at all?
I don't really. I only adjust it in flower if it gets too high.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna go with the VPD charged, but I simply don't have the equipment to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually try to keep it around 55 if possible.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that VPD stuff is I wish I had a better desire to learn more about it, but I just don't.
Yeah, I think it's something like with CO2. You really got to be successful. You really got to be at your max already so you can max it out using that.
Yeah.
Because if you have a 20-gram plant, using CO2 is not going to help.
Yeah, all that stuff is, yeah. I wish I was more into it, but I'm just not for some reason. I don't know why. I wish I was. I know people probably think I'm silly for not being, but I kind of just make sure my temperature is as good as I can get it. And if my humidity is way too dry, extreme, then I'll do something. I've never had it too dry, but pretty damn dry. But I'll do something, or if it gets too humid, I'll figure something out too. But that's because I don't want to have to deal with bud rot and mold. Yeah. But as far as the temperature being too low or too high, that's either going to stunt my growth or make it this, or it's I don't really care, unless it's going to really freaking cut my harvest in 50%, then I just don't care. I think that's my problem is I don't care it's dumb, but I mean, I just don't have a feeling of being interested and caring enough about that. And maybe that's why I grow small plants, but so be it.
Oh yeah, I think it's a lot of work and you need equipment for it. And I also don't do it. I just try to keep it around 55.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really pay too much attention to it. Exactly the same as you. If it starts getting too high during flower, that's when I'll introduce a dehumidifier. But other than that, I don't do much about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping too, like with this autopot system, like in my grow area, when it does get a little too dry, it's like I'm going to have this, big reservoir of water. Well, it's covered, so I guess that's not going to help. But at least I'll have these trays with like water coming out, and it soaks the pots, and the pots are probably going to, they'll never really be dry. They'll kind of always probably be damp, and I'm assuming. And, hopefully that'll maybe even help the humidity. I know when I grew in cocoa and I was like constantly keeping it wet, like every day, it did spike a little bit, just because it was such a big 5-gallon pot, in my little area. But yeah, other than that, like I try to just keep the humidity as close to like 50 as I can. That's just pretty much what I do.
I think 50 is safe for veg and flowers, so you're good with 50.
Yeah, but I struggle with it going low. Like right now, I think it's at like 36 or something.
Yeah, that's low.
Yeah, it's low, and so I'm like, damn it! Like the seedlings just popped out this morning, like I said, but still, it's like, okay, I got to figure something out. How can I get some more humidity in here? So I might have to just get a little humidifier. Yeah, plus I have my AC running, so I have a AC unit in here, and so that's like totally sucking some of the water out of the air.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Same for my AC.
Yeah, in fact, I know it is because it pours the water out on the other side of the wall.
Oh yeah, I wanted to touch on the 5-gallon pots, Autoflowers. Yeah. Personally, I don't notice the difference because my last grow was in 4-gallon pots, the big grow I had, and they're way bigger than my plants in 5 gallons now. So I don't think
really.
Yeah, I think the size doesn't matter as long as we're talking about small pots. Like if you compare a 1/2-gallon pot with a 2-gallon pot, that might make a difference with Autoflowers. But I think a 3 or 5-gallon pot wouldn't make much of a difference. Just you're gonna have to water more often. That's Autoflowers. I'm not experienced with photo periods.
Yeah, I do know there is something like I've noticed like in 3-gallon pot. Well, I've noticed especially in 1-gallon pots, and I think Full Duplex has said that he's noticed this too. That when you have really small pots, it seems to cause them to maybe go into flower faster, to grow faster. Might maybe stay smaller, but
yeah. I think I've had that issue too.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I don't have any science to back that up. It's just been my own examination. But
it's been since I switched to cocoa that my plants are staying in veg too long. I have plants staying in veg till 44 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's since I switched to cocoa. So I think that's like the biggest part why they're vegging so long.
Interesting. But then you got to wait longer.
Yeah, but you'll also have a bigger yield.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
I'm too impatient.
The wedding cheesecake I posted a picture of, I didn't have high hopes for her first because she was growing so slow compared to the rest. But when the rest was already far in flower, she was still vegging. And she's daily. I just went in the tent a moment ago and she's looking big.
Yeah, I'm just that's crazy that she looks like that without training her. And she's just like boom, just blow up.
Yeah, I don't even know a natural structure could be like that.
Yeah. That's cool. Right on, man. Is there anything that you can think of that you would like to talk about that we didn't cover?
No, not that I can think of now.
Okay. Cool, man.
Probably think of it when you hang up, but that's
all right. Then we'll just do another episode down the road. So you just put it in the back of your mind, and and then save it for next time.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. This was awesome. I love the chat.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming on. Take care of yourself, man, and we'll see you out there in the digital land of Instagram.
I'll see you around, man. Thank you very much.
All right, man. See ya.
Cheers.
Well, that was a nice conversation with Arucamba Autoflowers. I just want to say thank you, and we appreciate your time. Don't forget to go follow him on Instagram. I'll have the link in the show notes. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Until next time, happy growing, one love. See ya.
The deadly narcotic is thus quickly and easily prepared
Go
for its market.
and kiss your mothers behind.
The sale of marijuana is even more difficult to detect and halt than the traffic in drugs such as opium, morphine, and heroin. The deadly narcotic.
Listen to me very carefully.
I inhaled.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Smoke weed every day.